The shuttle descended through the violet skies of Zynar, its engines humming a low, comforting note that contrasted sharply with the chaos of Alex's thoughts. As the craft touched down on the landing pad, he could see the city of Yulon sprawled before him, a tapestry of luminous spires and crystalline structures that shimmered under the planet's multiple suns. Alex stepped out, his diplomatic uniform crisp, yet somehow out of place among the flowing, chromatic robes of the Zynar people. His mission was clear: negotiate trade, but his heart was elsewhere. He was here for the stories, the cultures, and now as he gazed at the alien landscape, the adventure. "Welcome to Zynar, Ambassador Alex," a voice called out, drawing his attention to a group waiting by the shuttle. A tall figure with scales that caught the light in hues of green and gold stepped forward. "I am Lyra, Chief of Commerce." Her voice was melodic, each word like a note in an unfamiliar song. Alex felt an immediate pull, not just towards her, but to the enigma she represented. "Thank you, Lyra. It's an honor," Alex replied, extending his hand in a human gesture of greeting, which she observed curiously before mimicking it. Her touch was cool, a stark contrast to the warmth of human skin. As they walked towards a floating platform that would take them into the heart of Yulon, Lyra spoke. "You are the first human I've met up close. Your species. You're known for your adaptability, your passion for life?" Alex chuckled. "That's one way to put it. We're a curious bunch, always looking to learn more, to connect. I hope to do both here." The platform ascended, giving them a panoramic view of Yulon. Lyra seemed to take in the city with a sense of pride, yet there was a flicker of something else in her eyes, perhaps longing or curiosity. "You'll find our customs quite different from what you're used to," she said, her voice tinged with a warning. "Physical contact, for instance, is not freely given here." Alex nodded, understanding the cultural boundary he was about to tread upon. "I'll respect that. But may I ask, what do you find intriguing about humans?" Lyra looked at him, her eyes, large and expressive, seemed to weigh her words. "Your stories of love, freedom, we have our traditions, but your tales, they speak of a different life." The platform docked at a grand hall where a ceremony was about to begin. As they entered, the hall was filled with the music of Zynar instruments, a symphony of sounds Alex had never heard. They took their places, and as the ceremony commenced, Alex felt Lyra's gaze on him more than once. During a quiet moment, as the music softened, Alex leaned closer. "This is beautiful. Is there much music in your culture?" "Music is the language of our souls, much like love seems to be in yours," Lyra whispered back, her voice barely above the melody. "But love here, it's orchestrated, not found." Her words hung between them, a silent acknowledgement of the cultural chasm, yet also an invitation to bridge it. As the ceremony concluded, Lyra offered, "Would you like to see more of our city? There are places where we can talk, away from the formalities." "I'd like that very much," Alex responded, his curiosity now matched by a personal interest in Lyra. Together they left the hall, stepping into the vibrant streets of Yulon. Here, amidst the alien architecture and the radiant people, Alex felt not just the weight of his diplomatic duties, but the pull of a new connection, one that would challenge both their worlds. The sunsets on Zynar were unlike any Alex had seen, with the sky painting itself in shades of indigo and gold. He stood on the balcony of his temporary quarters, absorbing the tranquil beauty, when his communicator buzzed. It was an encrypted message from Lyra. "Meet me at the Garden of Echoes. I have something to show you." Intrigued, Alex made his way through the winding, luminescent streets of Yulon. The Garden of Echoes was an area he knew little about, known for its acoustics that whispered back the sounds of the past. When he arrived, Lyra was waiting, her figure silhouetted against the garden's bioluminescent flora. "I wasn't sure you'd come," Lyra said, her voice echoing slightly in the still air. "I wouldn't miss a chance to explore more of this fascinating world," Alex replied, stepping closer. "What are we doing here?" Lyra gestured towards a secluded part of the garden where a small, hidden amphitheater lay. "Here, the echoes speak truths, or so we believe. I wanted to share with you something of our culture, and perhaps learn more about yours." They sat on the cool, moss-covered benches. Lyra produced a small instrument, its strings glowing faintly. This is a rikla. It's said to tell the stories of our ancestors through its music. She played, the notes resonating around them, creating a symphony of whispers and echoes. After a moment's silence, she looked at Alex. Now tell me of human music. Alex smiled, pulling out a small portable music player. This is from Earth. It's called a guitar. He played a simple melody, his fingers moving over the virtual strings, the music filling the space, mingling with the echoes of the garden. Lyra listened, her eyes closed, absorbing the alien sounds. It's like your music carries stories of joy and sorrow, all at once. Music is one of the ways we express ourselves, our stories, our love, Alex explained. Speaking of love, you mentioned at the ceremony that it's orchestrated here. Yes, she sighed, opening her eyes to meet his gaze. Marriages are arranged for the benefit of the species, for harmony, not for passion. What you describe, it's forbidden here. And yet you're curious about it, Alex asked, sensing the tension in her voice. Lyra nodded, her expression one of longing. I've read of human love stories. They speak of a connection that transcends logic or duty. Here, to feel such a thing would be to invite chaos. But what if that chaos, Alex said, leaning slightly closer, could lead to something beautiful? New traditions, perhaps. Lyra laughed softly, but it was a laugh tinged with sadness. You are a diplomat, yet you speak like a revolutionary. Maybe I'm both, Alex chuckled, then grew serious. I've learned from my travels that the heart often knows what the mind cannot comprehend. Perhaps there's a space for both here on Xanar. Lyra looked at him, her gaze lingering. I would like to learn more about this human way of love. Can you teach me? Alex felt the weight of her request, understanding the risk it posed for her. Let's start with something simple, he suggested, like dancing. It's a way to connect without words. Lyra rose, extending her hand. Show me then. They began to move, Alex guiding her through basic steps, their bodies close but not touching, respecting the cultural norms. Yet the rhythm of their steps created a new language between them, one of shared curiosity and silent promises. As they danced, Lyra whispered, This feels like breaking a rule, but in a good way. Sometimes, Alex replied, breaking a rule can lead to freedom. They danced until the last light of Xynar's suns faded, leaving them in the glow of the garden's flora, a world of their own making, where forbidden curiosities could thrive. Days had passed since their dance in the Garden of Echoes, and Alex found himself thinking more about Lyra than about his diplomatic duties. Today he received another encrypted message, this time with coordinates leading to a secluded part of Yulan, known as the Whispering Cliffs. He arrived at the cliffs, where the wind seemed to carry voices from across the valley. Lyra was there, her presence almost blending into the natural beauty of the landscape. I wasn't sure if this was wise, Lyra admitted as soon as she saw him, her voice cautious but eager. Nor was I, Alex confessed, but here we are. Lyra led him to a small, hidden cave where the wind's whispers faded into a serene silence. Inside, there was a small, cozy space with cushions and a crystal light that mimicked the sun's glow. I come here to think, to escape, Lyra explained. No one knows about this place. Here we can speak freely. Alex sat down, feeling the gravity of the moment. What do you think about when you come here? About possibilities, about the stories you've shared, she said, her voice soft. About freedom, love, about us. Us? Alex echoed, his heart quickening. Yes, I've never questioned our ways until now. But you've opened a door I can't close. Alex nodded, understanding the risk she was taking. I want you to know, I respect your culture, your laws, but I'm also here for you, as a friend, or whatever you wish. Lyra sat next to him, their proximity a silent conversation. Can you tell me more about human love? Not just the stories, but how do you feel it? It's different for everyone, Alex began, but at its core, it's about connection, understanding, and sometimes it's about breaking free from what's expected of you. Lyra looked thoughtful. In Xynar, we have no word for what I think you describe. Our closest term would be binding, but that's more about duty than desire. Alex found himself reaching for her hand, then paused, remembering. May I? Lyra nodded, and he gently took her hand, feeling the coolness of her scales. Love for us can be like this. A touch, a look, something that says you're not alone. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of their cultural differences and the thrill of their connection filling the space. Show me more, Lyra whispered, her curiosity palpable. Alex smiled. How about we try something simple but meaningful? He moved closer, their faces almost touching. Like this. He leaned in, his breath mingling with hers, and kissed her gently on the cheek, a gesture of affection rather than passion. Lyra's breath hitched, her eyes wide with surprise but not fear. That was different. It felt like a promise. It can be, Alex said, his voice low, but it's up to you what that promise means. They spent the afternoon talking, sharing stories from their respective worlds. Lyra spoke of the festivals where love was celebrated in scripted performances, while Alex described Earth's Valentine's Day, where love was spontaneous and personal. As the day waned, Lyra looked at Alex with a mix of fear and determination. I want to learn more. I want to feel more, but we must be careful. This could change everything. And maybe, Alex suggested, it's time for a change. They agreed to meet again, to explore this new world they were creating together, one that defied the laws of Zynar, but honored the heart's own logic. As they left the cave, the whispers of the cliffs seemed to carry their secrets away, but in their hearts a new forbidden melody began to play. The next meeting was at the Festival of Harmony, an annual event where the different species of Zynar came together in celebration. The festival was a tapestry of colors, sounds, and dances, each more elaborate than the last. Alex found Lyra amidst the crowd, her attire shimmering with light-responsive threads. You made it, Lyra said, her voice barely audible over the festival's music. I wouldn't miss this for the world, Alex replied, his eyes scanning the scene. This is breathtaking. It's our way to show unity, but tonight, let's create our own harmony, Lyra suggested, her eyes gleaming with mischief. She led him away from the main crowd to a quieter corner where a less formal dance was taking place. Here the music was softer, yet carried a rhythm that seemed to invite conversation. Teach me your dance, Alex said, eager to learn more about her culture. Lyra took his hands, guiding them. It's called the Lyran dance. It's about balance, about finding your partner's rhythm. As they moved as their steps synchronized, Lyra explained, each movement tells a story of mutual support, like the branches of our trees that intertwine. Alex followed her lead, their bodies close but not touching, respecting the unspoken rules of Zynar. It's beautiful, like everything here, but it's also restrained. Lyra's smile was tinged with sadness. Yes, but tonight, we can pretend otherwise. She spun, her attire catching the light, creating a spectacle of color around them. They danced, and as they did, the music seemed to weave them closer together. Lyra whispered, in your world, how would this dance end? Alex chuckled. With a closer step, maybe a kiss if the moment felt right. Lyra paused, the music continuing around them. Show me. Understanding the risk, Alex stepped closer, his hand gently at her waist, their foreheads touching. Like this. It's about feeling the other's heartbeat. The moment was charged with a new kind of tension, Lyra whispered. And if we were to follow this dance to its human conclusion? Alex leaned in, his lips hovering near hers. It would be a kiss, one that says, I see you, I understand you. Their lips met in a brief, forbidden kiss, hidden by the festival's shadows. Lyra pulled back, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and wonder. That was exhilarating and terrifying. It's okay to feel both, Alex assured her. It's part of the human experience. Lyra took his hand, leading him away from the dance. Let's walk. I want to talk about this, about us, away from the eyes of everyone. They walked through the festival, sharing quiet moments, discussing their cultures, and the implications of their actions. Lyra spoke of her fears, her dreams, and how she felt a new kind of freedom with Alex. We're creating something new here, aren't we? Lyra mused. Yes, Alex agreed. A dance between our worlds, our hearts. As the festival continued behind them, They found a bench under one of Zinar's luminous trees. Here they sat, hand in hand, not as representatives of their species, but as two beings exploring the uncharted territory of love. Their conversation was a dance of its own, one of ideas, emotions, and the promise of what could be, if only they dared to continue. The clandestine nature of their meetings had only deepened Alex's curiosity about Zinar's culture, especially the parts kept out of sight. Lyra had mentioned a place where knowledge was both preserved and hidden, a place she now decided to share with him. They met at twilight, the sky a canvas of fading light, and Lyra led him through the less traveled parts of Yulon to an old, unassuming building, covered in vines that glowed with a soft luminescence. "This is the repository of whispers," Lyra whispered as they entered. "It holds texts that are not for public eyes." The interior was vast, with shelves reaching high into the shadows, books and scrolls made from materials Alex had never seen. The air was thick with the scent of ancient paper and ink. "Why show me this?" Alex asked, his voice echoing slightly. "Because here lies the truth of our past, our potential futures," Lyra explained, lighting a crystal lamp that cast a warm glow over the room. "And because I trust you." They navigated through the maze of shelves until they reached a secluded alcove. Lyra pulled out an old leather-bound book. "This speaks of love, not in terms of duty, but of choice, much like your stories." She opened it, revealing texts and illustrations of couples from different species, their expressions of love free and unscripted. "These are forbidden tales, but they resonate with me now." Alex sat beside her, reading over her shoulder. "This is incredible. It's like you've kept your heart's history hidden." Lyra nodded, her fingers tracing the pages. "I wanted you to see that not all of us have forgotten the thrill of personal choice in love." They spent hours there, reading and discussing, their voices a quiet murmur in the sacred silence of the library. Each text they uncovered was like peeling back layers of Zinar's cultural facade. "What do you think would happen if these stories were known?" Alex asked, genuinely curious about the societal impact. "There would be upheaval, maybe chaos," Lyra admitted, "but also, perhaps, a new dawn of understanding." Alex looked at her, his respect for her deepening. "You're brave to consider such change." "I feel I must," she said, her voice firm yet vulnerable. "With you, I've tasted freedom, and I want more from my people." He reached out, hesitant but driven by the moment, and took her hand. "We could try to make a difference together." Lyra squeezed his hand, the gesture simple but fraught with meaning. "What would that look like in your eyes?" "First, we share these stories," Alex suggested. "Not publicly, not yet, but with those who might listen, who might yearn for change. And then," Lyra pressed, her eyes searching his, "we show them what love could be, not just through stories, but through us," Alex said, his voice low, the weight of his words hanging in the air. Lyra leaned closer, their faces inches apart. "I want to feel that again, what we felt at the festival." Alex understood her request, the desire for connection in this place of hidden truths. He leaned forward, their lips meeting in a kiss that was both a question and an answer. It was slow, exploratory, a silent agreement to explore not just texts, but the depths of their feelings. As they pulled apart, Lyra's breath was uneven, her eyes bright with emotion. "This could be our revolution, one kiss at a time." They continued to talk, to plan, their minds and hearts weaving a new narrative for Zinar, one where love was not just a whisper in the dark, but a song for all to hear. The Festival of Lights was the most significant celebration on Zinar, a night where the city of Yulon was transformed into a spectacle of glowing lanterns, each light representing a wish or a dream. It was a time when the barriers between species momentarily dissolved in the shared beauty of illumination. Alex and Lyra planned to meet at the festival's peak, where the crowds would be thickest, providing them with the perfect cover. As the sky darkened, the city lit up, casting a magical glow over everything. Lyra found Alex near the central plaza, where a giant luminescent tree stood, its branches adorned with thousands of lights. "This is where dreams are said to come true," she said, her voice filled with a mix of awe and nervousness. "Every light here is someone's hope," Alex observed, looking around at the sea of lights. "What's yours?" Lyra smiled, her eyes shimmering in the reflected light. Freedom, to love as we choose. What's yours? To see that dream become reality, Alex replied, his gaze lingering on her. They walked among the crowd, blending in, yet each step felt like they were treading new ground. Lyra pointed to a secluded spot behind the tree where the lights were dimmer, more intimate. Come, let's find our own light. They reached a quiet nook where a single lantern hung, casting a soft, golden glow. Here they could speak without fear of being overheard. I've been thinking, Lyra began, sitting on the grass, about sharing those stories from the library with a select few. Maybe they can help us light the way. That's a start, Alex agreed, sitting next to her. But it's risky. We need to be careful who we trust. Lyra nodded, her expression serious. I know, but we can't do this alone. And tonight, she paused, her eyes meeting his. Tonight is about more than politics or change. It's about us. Alex felt the weight of her words, the invitation in them. What do you want, Lyra? I want to feel alive with you, she whispered, moving closer. I want to dance in this light, to kiss under these stars, to feel free. They stood, and with the festival's music as their backdrop, they danced a slow, intimate dance, their bodies close, hands touching but not gripping, in respect to Zynar's norms. Yet each movement was charged with unspoken desire. As they danced, Lyra whispered, This feels like the beginning of something beautiful. It is, Alex murmured, his voice low. Maybe the beginning of everything. The dance ended with them in the lantern's light, their faces close. Lyra's breath was quick, her eyes locked on his. Show me more of your world, your love. Alex didn't need more encouragement. He kissed her, this time with more depth, their lips meeting in a dance of their own, slow and exploring. Lyra responded with fervor, the thrill of the forbidden adding to the intensity of the moment. It's like the lights, she said breathlessly as they parted. Each one is a wish, and this feels like mine coming true. Alex smiled, touching her cheek gently. Then let's make more wishes come true, together. They spent the rest of the festival under that single lantern, talking, kissing, envisioning a future where love wasn't just a light in the dark, but could shine openly across Zynar. As the night waned, they knew they had started something that could no longer be contained in the shadows. It was as radiant as the Festival of Lights itself. The city was asleep, or so it seemed, as Alex made his way to Lyra's residence under the cover of night. The risk of being seen together was high, but their need to be close, to explore what they had started, was higher. Lyra opened the door to her private quarters, her eyes wide with anticipation and a hint of fear. You came, she breathed out, pulling him inside and closing the door softly. I couldn't stay away, Alex whispered, scanning the room. It was a sanctuary of soft lights and flowing fabrics, a stark contrast to the rigid public spaces of Zynar. I've been thinking of nothing else but tonight, Lyra admitted, her voice trembling slightly. This could change everything for me. For us. Alex took her hands, feeling the coolness of her scales against his warmer skin. Then let's change it together. They moved to a secluded part of the room where cushions and silken sheets awaited, a private nest away from the world. Lyra sat, pulling him down with her. I want to know more about love, the human way. Alex sat beside her, their bodies close. It starts with a connection, he said, his voice soft. Like this. He leaned in, kissing her gently, his lips brushing against hers in a caress. Lyra responded, her kiss deepening, curiosity and desire mixing. And then, she murmured against his lips. Then, Alex continued, moving to kiss her neck. It's about listening to each other, to our bodies. His hands were gentle, exploring the contours of her form over her clothes, respecting her boundaries yet inviting her to explore further. Lyra's breath hitched, a sound of both surprise and pleasure. I feel like I'm breaking free. That's part of it, Alex whispered, his hand now resting at her waist, their faces close. Love is freedom in its way. They kissed again, this time with more urgency, Lyra's hands finding their way into his hair, pulling him closer. Show me more, she urged, her voice a mix of command and plea. Alex complied, guiding her back onto the cushions, his kisses trailing down her neck, his touch reassuring yet thrilling. It's about trust, he said, looking into her eyes, seeking permission. Lyra nodded, her trust in him clear. They continued, their kisses growing more passionate, their touches more daring. Soon their clothes were shed, a silent agreement to explore this new territory together. As they lay together, Alex felt Lyra's body tremble with pleasure as she moved above him, the connection between them electric. You feel this, don't you? He whispered, his hands on her hips, guiding her gently. Yes, Lyra gasped, her body moving in rhythm with his, each movement a discovery, each sensation a revelation. It's like I'm discovering myself through you. Their lovemaking was slow, deliberate, a dance of exploration where every touch was a question and every response an answer. Lyra's pleasure was evident, her body trembling not just from the physical, but from the liberation of being seen, truly seen, by another. As they lay together afterward, breathless, their bodies still entwined, Lyra whispered, I've never felt this. This is what love could be? Yes, Alex confirmed, brushing a strand of hair from her face. And we're just at the beginning. They talked into the early hours, their bodies close, discussing their feelings, the implications of their actions, and what this could mean for their worlds. Lyra felt a profound shift within her, a new understanding of love, one that was both exhilarating and terrifying. But with Alex by her side, she felt ready to face whatever came next. The dawn had barely begun to paint the sky when Alex woke to the soft sounds of Lyra moving around her quarters. He watched her for a moment, her form silhouetted against the first light of day, feeling a profound sense of connection and responsibility. Lyra turned, noticing he was awake. Morning comes too quickly here, she said with a half smile, sitting beside him. But it brings a new day, Alex replied, reaching for her hand. A day where we can start changing things. Lyra squeezed his hand, her expression serious. I've been thinking. We need to expand our circle, but carefully. There are some who might listen, who might understand. I agree, Alex said, sitting up. But we need a plan. We can't just share the stories. We need to show them what love can be. They spent the morning plotting, their strategy not just about words but about actions. They decided to start with small private gatherings where they could share the text from the hidden library, but also share their experience, their vision. Tonight we'll meet with Joran and Tala, Lyra suggested. They've always questioned our ways. And if they agree, they could help us spread the word, Alex added, optimism in his voice. As the day progressed, they prepared for the clandestine meeting, gathering scrolls and setting up in a part of Lyra's home that was hidden from prying eyes. When evening came, Joran and Tala arrived, both curious and cautious. Joran, a scholar, was the first to speak. Lyra, you've always been one for surprises. What's this about? Lyra took a deep breath. It's about love, about choice. Alex and I have found something different. Tala, intuitive and perceptive, looked between them, sensing the unspoken. You two, you've crossed the line, haven't you? Yes, Alex admitted, but not just for ourselves, for all of us. Look at this. He unfurled one of the scrolls, revealing stories of love from centuries past. Joran's eyes widened as he read, These should be forbidden. They are, Lyra said, because they challenge our norms. But they also show us another way. Tala, who had been silent, finally spoke. And you believe this can change our society? We do, Alex said, but we need help. We need to show, not just tell. The discussion turned into a debate, but one filled with hope. Joran and Tala, after some hesitation, agreed to help spread the word discreetly, to find others who might be ready for such a change. The meeting ended with plans for more gatherings, each with the potential to expand their circle of influence. As they left, Joran turned to Lyra and Alex. This could start a revolution, or it could end in exile for all of us. Then let's hope for the former, Lyra said, her voice strong with conviction. Alone again, Alex turned to Lyra. Are you sure you're ready for this? It's not just our lives at stake anymore. Lyra looked at him, her eyes reflecting both fear and determination. With you, I feel like I can face anything. We're not just changing for us, we're changing for the future. They embraced, their bond solidified by their shared vision. I love you, Alex whispered, the words carrying a weight that was both a promise and a challenge. And I love you, Lyra replied, her voice trembling with the emotion of their reality. Let's make this world a place where love isn't just a dream under the festival lights, but a reality in the daylight. As the sun set on another day, they knew the journey was just beginning. The dawn of change was upon them, not with the clashing of swords, but with the quiet, powerful whisper of love. A love that dared to break the chains of tradition and light up the future for all of Zynar.